The Charge of the Light Brigade by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Half a league, half a league, half a league onward, all in the valley of death rode the 600. Forward the Light Brigade, charge for the guns, he said. Into the valley of death rode the 600. Forward the Light Brigade, was there a man dismayed? Not though the soldier knew someone had blundered. Theirs not to make reply, theirs not to reason why, theirs but to do and die. Into the valley of death rode the 600. Cannon to the right of them, cannon to the left of them, cannon in front of them, volleyed and thundered. Stormed at with shot and shell, boldly they rode and well. Into the jaws of death, into the mouth of hell, rode the 600. Flashed all their sabres bare, flashed as they turned in air, sabring the gunners there, charging an army, while all the world wondered. Plunged in the battery's smoke, right through the line they broke. Cossack and Russian reeled from the sabre's stroke, shattered and sundered. Then they rode back, but not the 600. Cannon to the right of them, cannon to the left of them, cannon behind them, volleyed and thundered. Stormed at with shot and shell, while horse and hero fell. They that had fought so well came through the jaws of death, back from the mouth of hell, all that was left of them, left of the 600. When can their glory fade? Oh, the wild charge they made, all the world wondered. Honour the charge they made, honour the Light Brigade, noble 600.
Hi, and welcome to this Audiopi tutorial all about The Charge of the Light Brigade by Alfred Tennyson.
Think about a time where you had to make a sacrifice, giving up something you wanted to help someone else. Maybe it was something little like letting your friend have the last portion of chips at lunch, even though you were ahead in the queue. Or maybe it was something bigger, like giving up your weekend to volunteer for charity. Maybe you know someone who's donated blood.
It's hard to make sacrifices, but knowing that it helps someone else makes it worthwhile. But now imagine if you made a sacrifice knowing it would be for nothing. And what if it was the ultimate sacrifice of your life? It would be senseless and tragic.
This is the central theme of today's poem, The Charge of the Light Brigade.
Tennyson wrote the poem after reading about a situation in the Crimean War when 600 soldiers armed only with swords were accidentally sent into the wrong area to battle with a much larger number of soldiers who were all armed with guns. The worst thing is that the soldiers knew someone had made a mistake, but they still did their duty and followed orders. It would have been more comforting to think they died valiantly, feeling brave and noble because there was some purpose to their death. It would have been easier if they didn't know.
Was there a man dismayed? Not though the soldier knew someone had blundered. Theirs not to make reply, theirs not to reason why, theirs but to do and die.
What a tragic and horrifying thought. One of the surviving soldiers, Private Thomas Dudley, wrote about it afterwards in a letter home. When we received the order, not a man could seem to believe it, not a word or a whisper. On we went. Oh, if you could have seen the faces of that doomed 800 men at that moment, every man's features fixed, his teeth clenched and as rigid as death. Still, it was on.
Tennyson captures this feeling of onwards with the rhythm of his poem. Half a league, half a league, half a league onward. The stress pattern is called dactylic meter. 1 stress syllable, then 2 weak syllables. Listen again. Half a league, half a league, half a league onwards. It's a pounding rhythm, like the racing of their heartbeats or the thundering gallop of the horses as they charge into certain death. It's an important rhythm, which is carried through the whole poem. They are determined, and they don't stop or hesitate.
I've never heard of dactylic meter. Is it really important that I remember that phrase?
The idea is what's more important. The strong stress pattern and its impact are much more important than the terminology. If you want a way to remember the term dactyl, though, think about how it adds a sense of fear and suspense to the poem, so it's a pterodactyl, like pterodactyl, the flying dinosaur.
The sense of fear really builds from the repetition as well, doesn't it? You know something bad is coming. It's like in a horror film when they keep cutting back to a shot of the open door. You know something dangerous is going to come through it. In the first stanza it says, "All in the valley of death rode the 600. And at the end of the stanza, "Into the valley of death rode the 600. And the second stanza also ends with, "Into the valley of death rode the 600.
We are made to feel that this is senseless war. In the third stanza, when the soldiers arrive, the repetition tells that they are completely surrounded by weapons. Cannon to right of them, cannon to left of them, cannon in front of them. The only way they could turn is back, but they don't do that because they bravely follow orders. It's their duty. Tennyson paints the scene using onomatopoeia and alliteration, which almost allows us to hear the barrage of gunfire. Volleyed and thundered, stormed at with shot and shell. It's brutal and emotive because we know they have no defence.
He respects their bravery, writing, "Boldly they rode and well," but he scorns the fools who made the orders to charge into a hopeless battle. Into the jaws of death, into the mouth of hell rode the 600. Personifying death to give it jaws and similarly to give hell a mouth makes us imagine the soldiers being swallowed by an enormous beast that they never stood a chance against. It was like inviting the prey to crawl into the predator's mouth. That's what is so terrible about the way they died. Tennyson puts a huge question mark over this terrible decision with the line, "Charging an army while all the world wondered."
Then he uses the device he's been building up. He's constantly referred to the soldiers as the 600, giving them a single group identity because they act as a united front. But now he has to call them something different, as at least 100 men are dead and 100 badly injured. Then they rode back, but not the 600, and all that was left of them, left of 600. This is a devastating blow because of how firmly he had created the group identity with that repetition. It reinforces the sense of loss.
In the final stanza, he pays his final respects to the men. "Honour the charge they made, honour the Light Brigade, noble 600.
And don't forget, he repeats, "all the world wondered." This poem both honours and remembers the bravery of those soldiers and their willingness to die for their country, and indeed for nothing. And it also criticises and berates the decision-makers who sent them to their unnecessary deaths.
This poem could be compared with Bayonet Charge for images of war, or Poppies for the loss of individuals to war.
Thanks for listening. Join us next time for Bayonet Charge by Ted Hughes.